Okay, I've started recording.
All right, thank you so much. I just saw Foster join us. This is going to be interesting. Okay, so welcome everyone. We're just going to start, and then I'll just be keeping tabs on the WhatsApp groups just to make sure people get the right link to join us. Once again, I apologize sincerely for this starting so late. But this is just going to be like a very brief discussion. I'm just going to quickly run through like the outline. So the first part of this session, I'm just going to lay down some pointers about scholarship journey in general. And then we're going to move into having some people who have managed to gain scholarships for themselves. Some of them are still here, guest speakers, and I think maybe they can still share one or two. Generally, overall, about scholarship session, it doesn't matter whether you're Ghanaian or not, whether you want to do Chevening or not. We're just going to show you like there are different ways to apply for different scholarships, and that it's really a thing of the mind before you get into the whole process. Then that's going to be the second point. So people like experienced people who have managed to grab scholarships, sharing what the journey is like, and then the kind of attitude we should have. Then the last point would be maybe some nitty-gritties of like what you should be looking at. So without much like further wasting of time, I'm going to do my part of the presentation first. So I'm going to lay down the points, and then we're going to invite our speakers. So some of them are here already. We have Emmanuel and then Mali in the room, but I've also seen that Foster has joined, and maybe he would like to share something as well, because he's also a very, very established, very accomplished scholarship winner or award holder. So first point with regards to scholarships in general. So if you don't get maybe what we are saying, don't worry, this is just ahead of time. I'm going to share links to everything I'm going to speak about, the stories I'm going to make reference to, the resources I'm going to make reference to later on. So kindly drop your email in the chat box so that we can also share it with you as well if you'd be interested. So we'll just put together a package and then we'll also do that. So the first point is that ideally, when you sit down and you say, yes, I want a scholarship, you have to ask yourself the reason why you want the scholarship. Why do you want someone to pay for your school fees? Why do you want someone to pay for your tuition? What are you going to give in return to the person? This is applying to any scholarship. I know some people are initially joining because of the Chevening, but we're going to explain why this is important to understand in the first place. So why are you joining any school? Why are you trying to apply to a particular school? Obviously, applying to a school because maybe they have like a scholarship in there or something. But why do you want, first of all, to go to school? Yes, that's where I should start from. Why do you want to have a further education, first of all? Second of all, why do you want someone to pay for your scholarship? Remember, like they are like, for every one scholarship opportunity available, they're like they are close to 60,000, like especially for the prestigious ones, they're like close to 60,000 people who are going to apply, and then usually they're like only on average 1,000 to 1,500 spots. So for that's like, if we are breaking it down, for one slot they're like about 200 to 500 people on average going for that same one slot. So what's going to make you different? I'm going to repeat it again. Why should someone pay for your school fees? It could be 10,000 US dollars, it could be 50,000 US, but why should they pick you over like those other 200 to 500 people for that particular slot? It could be a US school, it could be a Canada school, it could be a Chevening scholarship, it could be like in Eastern Europe or Asia, whatever it could be. It could even be Africa, because South Africa has lots of scholarships like that. Whatever the case may be, why should they pick you over others? That's the point I'm trying to make. So that means that there's something that should make you stand out. So this really scholarship session is not really coming to tell you how to write your essays and all of that, because usually when people reach out to me, I share the links on how to write your essays and then make the keys. But I really want you to get into that mental space where you understand what you are doing, because a good friend of mine, Timothy, he said once that once you're able to understand and go through that mental process, the likelihood of you winning the scholarship is very high. And he's speaking as someone who has received a lot of failures from scholarship. So yeah, I'm thinking his kind of thought process there is correct. So the first thing is, why do you want to go back to school? Second thing is why they should pay for your scholarship. That means there should be something that sets you apart. Once again, as I said, for every one scholarship, 200 to 500 people apply. So the last point I want to make is that the scholarship journey is pretty long. It can be really short if you really understand this. The faster you get it, the shorter your journey is going to be. The reason why I'm saying is, and you learn this from the other speakers as well, is because I remember last week when we were having our Chevening journey session, and then we were all, especially the how to bounce back after a Chevening rejection. On average, all of us, the scholars, were saying, oh, it took us 3 tries, 2 tries, some people 4 tries. And someone asked, so has no one gotten this scholarship on the first try? And then one scholar mentioned that, oh, he knows like 2 people who got on their first try. And really, the reason why they got on their first try is because they understood like exactly what the scholarship was asking for. Like they understood the essence. So you have to understand what it is that you have to show about yourself to bring forth to the people who are going to pick you. So the more you understand that, the more you know how to bring what they are looking for. It's just like writing an exam. I mean, the lecturer is going to teach you a whole topic, but I mean, it's not every part of the exam he's going to bring. You're going to only pass based on which part of the questions, like the answers, I mean, you are able to answer, like the exam, the marks, the ones with the higher marks, you're able to answer, and then you are able to cross over. So it's ideally the same thing. Once you understand what is required and you're able to flow through it, you can cut your journey short from 3 tries or 3 cycles to like 1 try, and then you hit it. So without much further more talk, I'm going to invite our first speaker, who has just 10 minutes, Mauli. Mauli, are you here?
Yes, ma'am, I'm with you.
Okay, all right. So I would just like for you to share your video with us, and also just share with us, first of all, the journey, how the journey has been for you as well, and then different scholarships you applied for, and the third thing would be what stood out for you, what you did different, like once you got what it took. Remember we had that conversation, I think earlier on this week in your room. You realized that once you knew what it took, you cross-check with your essays and everything, you realized that you were ticking all the boxes. So I want you to share that Eureka moment. That's the last thing in just 10 minutes, those 3 points. And then we can have also Emmanuel also speak with us as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Nanaya. I'm happy to be here and happy to share my experience with the scholarship journey. Like you were making a point before you called me in that you need to understand the concepts of the scholarship you are applying to. And I must say that that is a very good starting point if you want to apply to any scholarship, because that will determine how far or how quick you can get the scholarship. So you need to read everything about the scholarship, because every scholarship has an objective or a background. And so once you are able to identify yourself with the background or the scholarship aim, it is easy for you to strategize your application to winning that scholarship. So I must say that I have, in my scholarship journey, I must say I started this in about 3 years ago. But then the Chevening scholarship concepts came to me very late. So I was trying other scholarships like the Commonwealth shared scholarship. I was looking at Commonwealth Scholarship and Commonwealth Shared Scholarship and the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship. These are scholarships that I was looking at because I am trying to identify myself with global scholarship that are of repute. And so that is another thing you have to look at for if you're applying to scholarships, because you will need to identify yourself with a scholarship that can actually have an impact on your career. So those are the things I was looking at for. And I realized that my initial preparation towards the scholarship were not adequate. So when I attempted the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship first. That was the first thing I did. But I realized that I didn't get the concept clearly. And so when I applied on 2 occasions, I didn't get it. And so, but when I got the Chevening concept, everything I've heard about Chevening is so interesting. And anyone who has come this far with the Chevening journey will understand what Chevening is. And once you understand Chevening, you would like to belong there, you know. And so I believe that made me to actually do my preparation adequately to position myself to winning this prestigious scholarship. So like we said earlier, understanding the background of the scholarship. So for the Chevening Scholarship, let me just make mention of the Chevening Scholarship because that is where I am now. And I'm happy to say that I'm one of the scholars chosen for the 2021-2022 scholarship year. And currently I'm studying public health at the University of Leeds. I'm here with Nanaya anyway. And Sami, Imatu is here with us. It's so interesting to find out that 3 of us from Ghana, we are in the same university. It's so interesting. We are having a lot of fun here anyway. That is just by the way. So the Chevening scholarship journey, I must say that it's a rigorous one. You have to know a lot about Chevening scholarship before you want to attempt it. Otherwise, the disappointment is so devastating if you don't take care. You can be depressed at the end of the day. So you need to do a lot of work, a lot of research about the scholarship. And for those who will be interested in apply to the Chevening Scholarship is about the UK government foreign policy program. You know, the UK is out there in almost all the countries, and they have various policy programs that they are implementing in those countries. And one way they want to achieve this is to nurture future leaders in those countries so that those leaders can help to promote their foreign policy programs in the various countries you find yourself. So that is basically the background of Chevening Scholarship. And so for Chevening, they want to bring together future leaders to give them the opportunity to network. That is another important thing about Chevening. So Chevening is not only about building leadership, but they create the platform for you to build network. So you have to do this strategically depending on where you want to go in the future. So it depends on you. You have to use the opportunity to build strong relationships, people who will help you to get to where you want to get to in the future. So that is another important thing about Chevening. Chevening is so prestigious that in the past, Chevening tend to produce world-renowned leaders. I just want to make an example of the president of, now if I'm wrong, you have to correct me. I think Costa Rica, the president of Costa Rica, he happened to be a Chevening scholar. And there was a former, I can't mention, I forgot the name. There was a former WHO chairman or director who also used to be a Chevening scholar. There are a lot of them. I'm not able to mention now, but the point I'm driving home is that Chevening scholarship is a prestigious one, and it tends to produce a lot of world leaders. People have gone to be ministers in their various countries, others holding prestigious global positions. So it is something so attractive, and everyone will wish that they want to belong here. But the interesting thing is that it's a very competitive one. And so before you even start, you have to do your homework well. Otherwise, you'll be disappointed. So you have to do a lot of research about the scholarship, what they, for example, writing of essays, what they require you to write. You have to, all those information are on Chevening website. That's another good important, another important thing about Chevening Scholarship. They have all the information on their website. And once you are able to get a grasp of those informations, it will help you to strategically position your application to winning the scholarship. So then I don't know what to say again about Chevening Scholarship. So that is brief about Chevening Scholarship. If you want to have another time for us to look at the application process, that is also good.
Yeah, sure. I think we will do that.
I'll end here, give the opportunity to others to talk. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much. Ima, are you available at the moment?
Hi, Nana.
Yes. If you could also share, walk us through also your scholarship journey and what it took for you to get to this point. Sorry, a short introduction about Ima. Ima, you do it yourself.
Oh, you can go ahead.
Okay, all right. So a short introduction about Ima is he's also a scholar, but he's a GETFund scholar. He's with the Ministry of is it railway?
Yeah, railways development.
Yes. Yeah. So back in Ghana. So he's also here with us in the University of Leeds, and he's going to share his journey. This just because he got in as a GETFund scholar doesn't mean he didn't try other scholarships. And so he's just going to first of all walk us through like how many, not just the number of times you tried, but like the mental process you went through. That's like really important because some people are really at where we used to be. So we want to show them like a timeline so that they can judge for themselves where they are and where they need to be, because we want to hear that, oh, some people tried some of the scholarships like Mastercard and the rest, and then they got it on the first try. And so this is why this session is here, because we've had a lot of sessions like last year and even earlier on this year, but we really want to make sure that people understand like it's a mental like process. So if you can walk us through your mental process like Mauli has done, and then we can take it on from there.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nana, and good evening to us all. As Nana rightly said, I'm on a GETFund scholarship, and my journey started 2018. In 2018, I completed school in 2018, and in 2019, I got admission at London School of Economics, and that was where my scholarship hunt started. So I applied to Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, then I applied to Commonwealth Scholarship Proper, Mastercard Foundation. I didn't get any of them. But I want to shift my conversation a bit to what to do in the meantime, especially. Of course, you need to know what you are in for, because it's normal. As soon as you complete school, you want to go and do your master's. It's just perfect. And then, of course, you need a scholarship to do that. And one thing I realized is that I had everything it takes to get the scholarship, but how to package myself was the issue. Okay, packaging everything you are, because I've had several leadership experiences on campus. I graduated the first class, projects, everything I had. So the question is, what was making the difference? And I think that's where what Nana and then Mauli said is important. First of all, the mindset. For me, I am an open-minded person. I am interested in doing this, but then I don't see it as the only way to go. But sometimes the best way to go is that you do it like this, your first and last. So you put all your effort into it so that you make sure that you nail it once and for all. And the key to doing that is to get as much information as possible you can about the scholarship. Read. read about the scholarship, because every scholarship has a target. Every scholarship has a purpose. Every scholarship has what they expect from their scholars. So when I wanted to do Mastercard Scholarship, I realized that, of course, they are into entrepreneurship, and I was in a program called Emerging Public Leaders. I met the Mastercard, the chief executive. I met her, we had a meeting, I met her, and then we had a conversation. Basically, they are more like all the other scholarships. They are interested in human development. They're interested in helping people to achieve not just their own aim, but their aim transcended beyond themselves to impact their communities. So if your project or what you are interested in does not align with what they are interested in, then you need to know that you are out. But then sometimes it's not like, because there's their interest, I'm going to lie to them so that I'll get there. No, it's supposed to show, like, it's who you are. Anyway, so me at that time did not get that, understand all that, so I couldn't go. I got the secret later, and that's what I want to share. When I then get that scholarship in 2019, the following year I got admission at Hertie School of Governance. It's in Germany. And then I also applied to University of British Columbia and the rest. But then, while I was doing all these things, I was building my career in that respect. And I think that's one thing that we need to focus on also, especially as fresh graduates. It is not prudent that while it's good to work hard on your scholarship, but do not hold on and think that if you're not getting the scholarship or in the meantime, you are not going to do anything. You can start a career, or you can start a work, or if you get a work, you can start doing. I read French and Political Science in my first degree. And French and Political Science, everybody will ask you, hey, you want to become a politician? Or all my friends, they're going to do international relations, they're going to do this course. But I joined a program called Emerging Public Leaders, and those who have heard of it, it's highly competitive to really get into it. And I wanted to get to the, actually they placed us in the various ministries we found ourselves. And I was interested in Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But I remember the time, the program associate, Joanne, all the team were from the US and they came to Ghana for that program. I mean, they are the initiators of the program. It's a US-based program. And they said, looking at my something, they said it's a potential something. They want me to go to the Ministry of Railways. And I went there. I gave my all, while at the same time working on the scholarships, while at the same time working on schools, while at the same time, doing all that I can, go for further studies abroad. And interestingly, whilst working, my focus on what to do as postgraduates in my master's changed. Instead of going into international relations or this, I rather focus on transport, because I saw the need there and the kind of innovation that the area also is bringing. And I'm bilingual, so the advantages that it can open. What I'm trying to say is that open your tentacles, open wide your options, okay, so that whilst you are working hard to get the scholarship, and you will get it also, especially following all that Nana and then Mauli have shared. Do not limit yourself to that. If possible, start a career and look at these things differently. And I'm sure that you can really make something good for yourself. Thank you very much, Nana. I don't know whether there'll be Q&A session, maybe through that a lot of things also could be clarified.
Yes, actually, there is going to be a Q&A session. So I just quickly really wanted to share a quick tweet that I saw yesterday, and I think it's like very interesting. It had to do with the fact that someone was speaking, it was actually last year's Chevening scholar, so Joel Anaman, and he was sharing, he was retweeting that someone made a tweet about how they didn't know they liked flowers. So let me just give the summary of the tweet. And they were trying, like, she was a lady who was being courted by a guy, and she was like, she didn't even know she liked flowers till she started getting flowers, and she realized that, oh, she really likes flowers. And Joel picked that tweet, and he managed to connect it to the fact that a lot of the time we want to know that we are good at something before we try. So I'm just picking this off of Ima's last point because it's very important. We want to know that we are good at let's say agriculture or farming or renewables. Like, we want to know that we are an expert. We want to start from the end and not from the beginning. So we want to know that, oh, I can succeed in this once I get into this. But you can only know by trying around different things. You just have to explore. So one of the ways, or some of the many ways you can do this is, as he said, try to build your career. So get a job. If you can't, and that's like really hard, especially with the Ghanaian economic situation, there are actually really good ways you can do this. So one thing I would say is get an internship. If it's still seemingly hard because of the COVID impact, I would say go online. Go online. There's this website called the Forage. It's like all of these big companies, like all you can think of, like McKinsey, Microsoft, and they have like online sessions of how they work interns to their company. So it's like you get to work with their company as an intern, and you get to do certain tasks, ideally, so that you can have that mental space, and then also like get some skills in project management and communications and writing, all from your home, from your phone, from your laptop, and then you get certificates, so you can post that on your LinkedIn. Bruh, if you also don't know what LinkedIn is, I'm very shocked at you, but I'm glad you're also here. So you can Google what LinkedIn is after, and then you can find out what it is, or you can leave your email in the chat. We'll be sending a list of all the resources that can help you out, and then you'll be sure to know how to set up a LinkedIn profile if you don't have any idea how to do it. So back to the point I was making. She didn't know that she liked flowers until she started getting flowers. And all Joel was trying to say was that we just really have to try different things. So you can try internships. As I said, there are some online, they are for free. The Forage thing I'm talking about, you even pay $1. So you can sign up. There's Coursera free courses. Harvard has EduX for free. So you can try all of these online internships. Ideally, build a portfolio. One Nigerian scholar who won the Mastercard was talking about how he started a foundation, not because actually he was thinking about scholarships, but he realized that he had to do something just because he was always getting rejected all the time and like he wasn't seen top. And it was through like doing the volunteering and then starting with the foundation from the scratch with no money that he actually got to network with people that actually even pushed him sometimes to meet the board people who actually review some of these essays. So it's really important by volunteering your time with associations like Rotaract Ghana or Rotary Ghana or the Lions Club or the Toastmasters and all of these big clubs. Sometimes you get to meet some of these people who get to make the decisions, and it really speaks very well of you when you can even get some of these people to write your own recommendation for you for these essays and these scholarships, because then they can actually leverage on the trust of the relationship they have with you, and then they can speak on your behalf for you. So I just wanted to speak about that briefly. Now, we're going to quickly move into Q&As because we are like 30 minutes in and we were supposed to be done like an hour ago. So we have like 20 minutes left. We want to keep this really short because we'll have another series as well where we'll dive deeper. So if you have a question, I would say type it in the chat box, specific questions that you have. Just a reminder that you also put your email address in the chat box, and then we can share the resources with you as well. So I do have some questions for Ima and Mauli as we wait for questions from the scholars. The first question I have, so Before then, I would also like to acknowledge the presence of a PhD candidate who is with us today, and we are so grateful for you joining us, Foster. So guys, if you've already finished your master's and you want to do PhD, please see him back doors. Last year, he was one of our guests for our sessions. Welcome, Foster.
Thank you, Daraya. Thank you, Daraya.
Yes.
Very happy to join this section and any of your section anytime that I have some free time.
Thank you so much for joining. We know you are very busy, and I'm really happy you were able to join us. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so we'll give you the opportunity to answer some of the questions that will come in as well, if that's okay, if you still have some time.
Sure.
Okay,
I'll
all
stay
right,
through
thank
to
you.
the end.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much. Okay, so some of the questions I already have here, pre-asked questions. So the first question, I think this will go to Foster, then Mauli, and then Ima can also handle it if you feel like you want to add in a way. So the first question is, hi, please. I've written my essays and I got rejected last year. Do I need to do anything else to my essays to make it better? And what do you suggest I do? Would you like to take this question, Foster, or you like to hand it over to someone else?
Okay. With your essay, I don't know, but then I think maybe you can try upgrading it, because with this scholarship, what happens is that you have to make yourself the most suitable candidate than everybody. You are competing with a whole lot of people from different places with a whole lot of things. So I think the old one, which didn't work, maybe you can just do some touches on it, or maybe you can also send it to recent awardees. Like the person can send it to you, or any scholarship awardee. They can use LinkedIn to find new Chevening scholarship holders or some scholarship holders from different programs, so that the person can say, oh, okay, fine, this essay is okay, maybe change this, add this and that. So I think with this scholarship section, if you also get someone to also guide you a little bit, it also helps. So I think the person should send it to any former winner or present winner of that scholarship holder using LinkedIn to find the person and get some feedback from the person. It's just simple.
Okay. So guys, I hope you caught that very well. So Mauli, I have a question for you. Someone is also asking, thank you so much for that, Foster. So guys, if you didn't get what he was saying, let me repeat it for you. It's very important too. That's why I'm repeating it. So he's saying that, so someone asked a question about, if you just joined us, welcome. Someone just asked a question about how she has written her essays and she tried previously and it didn't work. And so she wants to try again with the same essay. So what can she do to improve it? And Foster is suggesting that she actually didn't get in because maybe her essays could have been revamped. So she has to add something to it and make it better. So ideally, she wants to go on LinkedIn, look for people for that particular scholarship she's looking for. So if it's Schwarzman Scholars, just Google it. If it's the Rhodes Foundation Scholarship, like there's so many scholarships. And we're going to provide a resource list, kind courtesy of Derek Dramina, another candidate in the US. And he has a very long list, but it's very detailed, and it helps you to know which direction you want to go into, because as Mauli and then Ima mentioned, every scholarship has its goal or targets. And he gave an example, rightly so, with the Mastercard, for example. They are more into entrepreneurship. And Schwarzman Scholars, for example, is more into people who are looking to have like international development relationships with China. So you see how specific that is. So if you know that your future career steps are going to have something to do with China, your country and China, like then you should definitely apply for the Schwarzman Scholars. Or Ninth Hennessy, which is in Stanford. Like that one has to do with like tech and VCs and that kind of development that goes into specific areas. So you really want to make sure you pay attention to those things. So he said you go to LinkedIn, look for people in that scholarship area, and then you make sure that you reach out to them for them to review your essays for you. It's very important. for those of us who were with us for the Chevening scholars road to Chevening last week, if you're applying for Chevening, you should now know that they are going to be opening a Google form very soon on the Chevening Ghana alumni page, whereby those who sign up quickly enough will get people from like the Chevening body, scholar body in Ghana, to review their essays for them and to help them at least make it past the shortlist to the interview stage. So yeah, that's really wonderful. So thank you so much, Foster. The next question is for Mauli. And I think, Mauli, you like this question very much. Let me open it again. So the question is work experience a prerequisite? And in case you have like a 5-year relevant work experience, how much of a benefit is that? Yeah. Should I take the question again in a different way? Or Mauli, you got it?
That is clear. That is clear.
Okay, sure.
So in terms of Chevening scholarship, that is good. But because it's one of the preliminary requirements you need to have before you start the application. Most people are disqualified at the early stage of the scholarship because of this initial requirement or eligibility requirement. So you really need to, because according to Chevening, you need to have at least 2 years of work experience before you qualify to apply for. So this one is their preliminary eligibility issues. It is not the main issue like having to write with the AC. But here, if what you enter into the application system, I think because at the end of the day, they are going to count your experience in hours. So if what you have falls short of the requirement, the system will remove you automatically. You do not qualify for the scholarship. So indeed, you need to have work experience. And if you have 5 years of work experience, you are good to go. I don't have any other more things to talk about this. Yeah.
Okay. Ima, you've also worked with the Ministry of Railway Development for like 4 years. So maybe you can also weigh in on this question as well.
Could you recap the question for me, please?
Okay, sure. So it was someone asking, is work experience a prerequisite? And in case you have like a 5-year relevant work experience, how much of a benefit is that?
So, as I said, first you need to understand the scholarship. Some scholarship add marking scheme, as in what various aspects or requirements are going to be marked. But normally, not necessarily work experience, but what you have done that contribute to what you want to achieve with the course you want to do. Whether voluntary work, whether internship, whether projects, whether work itself. So long as it contributes to you as a person who is interested in doing it contributes to your dream or your aspirations and how the project itself, the scholarship will help you achieve that and also achieve the aim of the donors or the owners of the scholarship. So it's not necessarily about work. Work matters, but then it has to be in the context of what is needed in the scholarship.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that. So yeah, I think Mauli, you wanted to say something?
Yes. You see, a bit. I want to contribute to Ima's point. You see, like he said, all the scholarship have requirements. All scholarship have requirements. Some scholarship, they do not require you to have work experience. But for Chevening scholarship, you need to have a work experience of at least 2 years. Because, like I said, if you enter into the application portal, they ask you to key in your work experience. And then the number of years you have worked, maybe it's 1 year. If you enter that into the system, it will automatically calculate your number of hours you have worked, and it falls within a certain threshold, it will disqualify you from the system. So it has to do with you studying the requirement, the eligibility criteria for the scholarship you apply for. Some scholarship may not require you to have an adequate amount of work experience, but others they will do, like Chevening scholarship. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so I think they've pretty much answered it. If there's any follow-up question, you can put it in the chat. There is one last question here, I think. It has to do with, it's from Owusu. He says, can someone get scholarships in Canada without having IELTS or some certificate? So I think I'm going to answer this question. Owusu, that means that you're not in our Telegram group. Because we spent like all of last week, like the admins just sharing scholarships in US and Canada that don't require you to have IELTS. And then also like they have waived their, what is it called? The admission charges, like the $70 that you would normally have to pay, like the $40 and stuff like that. So we'll just drop your email address. Ifwa is going to take note of your email address, and then you're going to get access to a resource list that includes our Telegram group. And for Telegram, the best thing is that once you're added, you can go back to the history. You can just type in search GRE or IELTS, and then it will show you all the posts that people made earlier on. Just this month alone, there are like, I think 4 or 5 posts where they mention like close to 30 schools in the US and Canada alone that are not requiring any IELTS or GRE. And if you do want to go to a school that has GRE or IELTS, unfortunately for you, we have like resources. We have like a ton of online resources that are freely available to you. We'll share with you from our Google Drives, from past scholars that we have connected with, and they were willing to share all of that information. So you will get access to learning material. That's not a big issue at all. So I would like to invite the last person, our last speaker who just made it. Thank you so much, Timothy. Guys, let's welcome Timothy. So he's going to quickly share with us also. Timothy, I know this is like on the spot because we've already spoken a lot, but I just want you to briefly share with us your scholarship journey, when it began, what were some of the things that you learned. I actually quoted you earlier when I was talking about the fact that by the time you get a scholarship, there will be a mental shift in like the way you do your things, and how you got to that point where you have a mental shift. Like, so share with us where you used to be, maybe like the year you started. What were some of the key milestones? We are just wanting to do this so that people can actually use that to cross-check where they are on their journey, so that they know whether they have to accelerate, or like they know that, okay, I can apply within just one cycle and then get it within the first time. Yeah.
Hi. Yeah, so my name is Timothy. This is very sudden, very impromptu, but I'll share a few experiences from my journey, and maybe somebody might be inspired to continue or to build some tenacity. So my scholarship journey started in 2019. Yes, in 2019. And before then, I wasn't thinking about scholarships. I think I'd planned a different path for my life. But in 2019, I was National Service President for Keta Municipal and Volta and Oti regions. So I was running for national president for that year. But fortunately or unfortunately, I lost that election. And so when I lost that election, I had to re-strategize what I would do for, like, within that time. So I was planning and I was doing everything. And I had one friend, I don't know if it's appropriate to even mention his name, Michael Sapon. He's currently in China. So he sent me a message, a very long, glowing message, telling me about how he wished that I'll join him in China. I thought about it, and looking at how things went with my election and all these things, I didn't pay attention to. But I think there was one day that I was there, and I decided that like this scholarship thing, maybe it really holds weight like that. So I went started checking about scholarships. And my first stop was Chevening. Like what I saw first was Chevening. So I started reading about it. And that will bring me to my first point. Information. Information is the key to winning scholarships. There are a lot of people who know about scholarships, but they don't have information about it. All they know is that, oh, there's Chevening scholarship and I've heard about it and there are people winning. And all I started doing was looking for information. So there was one thing that I did that was peculiar. So I started looking for people whose stories I could relate to. So I would go to LinkedIn, go to Facebook, go to Instagram. Like, I don't know if that will qualify as stalking, but I was stalking in a nice way, like not a weird one. I was stalking people, finding out like what's the trajectory of their life, because I'd done a lot of things. And before then, I used to be a very avid volunteer. So every project that I would volunteer something, if it's just to sweep, to donate, to engage people, to teach children. I can't count the number of projects I've been in, a project I've led. And I didn't know that all these things were very useful. So when I saw Chevening and the stories people were saying, I realized that this is for me. So I remember I started writing my essays. And you see, the thing about writing scholarship essays is it must be spiritual. I don't know how you would understand it, but the person reading it is somebody who's faceless. The person would never know you from anywhere, but should be able to write your story in a way that will get somebody would want to invest money in you, because most of these scholarships are, Chevening, for instance, would support you with £40,000. Like £40,000 is way more than what you can expect. If you want to bring that to Ghanaian currency, that can start a whole business. So they would want to support the best candidate. So you have to present yourself as the best candidate. And so you need to have content. That's what I'll say. And I'm sure that by virtue of the fact that you are in this Zoom meeting means that you should have been very serious, because joining these things, sometimes they are tedious. And there are a lot of people who join and they don't know what to do. But for you to stay up till now, then you should be very serious. It means you've done something. Your life trajectory is enough to merit a scholarship. So I would say that try, like, get information. Like, don't look up to somebody for information. So let me tell you something about my Chevening things. So when I first spoke to somebody about Chevening, the person didn't give me a very good answer. Like, the person felt I was not qualified. Like, there were a lot of people who had applied and they didn't get in. So who am I to want Chevening? And so there are a lot of people who project their fears on you. But I think you should look inward. Like, you should believe, because in 2019, when I submitted the application, I didn't have any expectation, frankly. My expectations came when I was shortlisted for interviews. And that's when I invested emotions. So I didn't have any expectations. And it's very good not to have expectations. And when I started having expectations too, I was put on reserve. So in 2020, I was put on reserve, hoping to be upgraded, and I wasn't upgraded. So I decided to go again. And it was very tough for me, because in 2020, I applied for 2 different scholarships and they all put me on reserve. And I was hoping to be upgraded. They didn't. In 2020, I decided to spread my wings. And that's my second point. Don't focus on one scholarship. Spread your wings. Like, as many scholarships as you qualify, just apply. And because writing your essays are very spiritual, when you get the spirit in one essay, it transcends to all essays. So when you get the key things to write in, like in your first essay and it fits, it's very easy for you to focus on all the other essays. So make sure that what you are writing is very coherent. Let it make sense. Talk about yourself. I want to express it like in a way that you understand. Like, don't be modest about your achievement. There are certain people who would want to do those please. I did it with 2 people and we did this. Like, let it be more of I. And there's one thing too about essays is you need to quantify your achievements. So try and be using analytics. So maybe in 2019, I spearheaded a project that supported 500 students, or let me just make it very basic for you, that supported 5 students. In 2020, we scaled up that project to a 200%. So if not 200% is maybe you've increased to 15 students, but because you stay at 200%, it makes it huge. And so you should be able to quantify your achievements in a way that it makes it understandable for people. So don't just write, then it benefited a lot of students. Don't write your essays to be just generic. And so focus your achievements, focus on a lot of scholarship, apply to as many as you want. And in the end, it's only 1 year that matters. The truth is, you would only go with one scholarship in any ways. So I, for one, had to go with Erasmus this year. And other people got scholarships and they chose Chevening. So put in your best possible. It's very possible. Sometimes there's one thing I always say to people who feel down when it comes to scholarship, that the future doesn't have anybody's name on it. It might as well be yours. So the scholarship doesn't have anybody's name on it. When you present your case, you will get it. So that's what I'll say. If anybody has any specific question to ask me based on Chevening or Erasmus, I'll be glad to answer. But that's what I'll say for now. Thank you.
I just realized I was on mute again. Thank you, Timothy, because I know they were like so short, like very, in the spot kind of thing. Thank you so much for sharing that. Guys, do you have any questions for Timothy? And whilst we wait for the questions to come in, I just want to emphasize on his last point about spreading your wings with regards to applying for so many scholarships. I remember when I was doing my national service, and then there was this one lecturer. He met my colleague and I, and he was like, he was speaking in Tree, the local parlance, and he was like, "Hey, more apply for like 100 scholarship. He was like, for every hand, like you should apply for as many as possible." I'm just trying to translate back into English. For as many as 100. That's what he was saying. He was very serious. It was like, apply for as many as 100, and then no matter what happens, at least you get picked for one. And that's like really good. I think last year, one of our speakers, Barbara, who is in Canada now, she was speaking about the fact that she knew she wanted to go to Canada, but she actually, what she did was that she picked she went for the ranking for Canadian schools, like the top ranking Canadian schools, and she picked like the top 5, and she applied to them. Then she went down into like the middle percentile, like 40 to 50th ranking. Then she picked like 10. Then she picked like the 70 to 80th. So she got accepted into Carleton, which is like one of the top 12, by the way. But like that was to show like her intentionality about casting her net. So just because you're casting your net doesn't mean that you just throw the net anyhow and then you just like, oh, whatever I catch, because then it would take you years to really realize that kind of strategy, if ever it works. So just be intentional also about like how you go about it. Let me give you an example with myself as well. So when I got into Chevening this year, it wasn't just Chevening I got into. I had applied for like Commonwealth Masters, all the Commonwealth, 3 Commonwealth scholarships. So the one that is shared Masters, and then I think there's the last one, I can't remember. Then I also applied to a couple of other schools. But in the end, I got selected for Chevening and then another one by the University of Sheffield. So then I could choose. Do you get it? there is no disadvantage with casting your net wide, and then you have like 5 or 10 schools coming to you or scholarships coming to you with offers. Then you get to sit back and relax, and then you get to make the best choice for yourself. But that can only happen if you cast your net wide. So now we have questions, and so I think these questions will go to Timothy. Vanessa says, is it best to apply for scholarships before applying for schools, or vice versa? Which is better? So Timothy, after answering this question, then maybe we will end this session.
Okay, so Vanessa, I think that is dependent on the type of scholarships. So let me give you an example. For Erasmus, like the program I'm reading now, the Global program, if you apply for the program, you're applying for both the program and the scholarship. So if you get into the program, you get in as a scholarship student, and it's just for 15 people for scholarship. So it's attached to the application. But when you look at a scholarship like Chevening, you have to get an offer from a university by a time. So by July 15th, maybe next year, for those who are applying this year, by July 15th, you should have an offer from 3 of the universities that you would enlist in the application. So whilst you are preparing for writing your Chevening essays, you should also prepare an offer that will aid you to get your scholarship when you are given the scholarship. So others like Commonwealth is also attached to it. Sometimes you would have to be, there's one group, I tried University of Sussex. So the University of Sussex, you need to be recommended, yes, that's the word. You need to be recommended by either your government or Hali. I don't know the full meaning of Hali, but yes. And I didn't get that. I didn't follow through. I was so focused on just applying. So I just applied. And because I wasn't recommended I didn't follow the Hali and the government's thing. They didn't even pay attention to my application. So you need to follow the instructions. And that's one thing about getting information. If you're able to follow whatever they write on their website, and you follow the guidelines, that sometimes you don't need to get, like, I applied for Mastercard Edinburgh. So like for a scholarship like that, once you get the scholarship, you've automatically gotten into Edinburgh. So you don't need to they'll just aid you to apply, and it's an automatic entrance. So it's scholarship, and specific is based on the scholarship you apply to. So focus on the instructions rather than having a generic view of what they expect. So that's what I'll say, Vanessa.
Hello, Nanaya.
Yes, thank you so much, Timothy. Foster, would you like to add something to this as well?
Oh no, because Timothy has said it all.
Okay, so thank you guys so much for joining. If you just joined and you missed everything, I would encourage you once again to please put your email address in the chat box, and Ifa will take a note, and then you get access to the recording, you get access to the resources that we referenced earlier on. Thank you guys so much for joining. Once this goes up on our YouTube page, we'd really encourage you to share it with others to watch, because ideally they need to understand that you need to be in like a specific mental space, and also understand what is required of them as individuals to make sure they get that scholarship that they dream about. The last thing I'd like to mention also, and also lay emphasis on, is that you really want to catalog like everything that you've done. As all the panelists mentioned earlier, every scholarship has a specific or objective. And so what you want to do is that you want to catalog everything you've done, whether you're volunteering, internships, whatever it may be, so that you can have it all in one place, something like a master CV. But then it highlights your journey, like timelines, like the year you did a project, the number of people you helped, what that meant to you, or what that achieved. We'll go into more details in the later sessions. But you usually just want to make sure that you have that in place, so that looking at the requirements, as Timothy last rightly said, you want to pay attention to what the scholarship requires, because you may apply for the scholarship and then miss out on like the nitty-gritties. Like, for example, as you mentioned, Commonwealth scholarship in particular, I think it's Masters. Yeah, Commonwealth Masters. They are just 3 agencies for Ghana. This is what we know of for Ghana. So Hali is like a very close community, but it's even only for people who are orphans. So if you're not an orphan, you do not even qualify to be vetted by that nominated agency. So for Commonwealth scholarships, for example, you just cannot apply alone to the thing and think you're going to get into the school. You have to be nominated by a nominating agency, and they differ for all the countries. So for Ghana, there are just 3: the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat, and on a year-on-year basis, they pick like 3 to 4 people every year. So it shows that it's super competitive. And then there's the African, I always forget the name, but it's like FAWE, which stands for the Forum of African Women Educationalists, which is like a gathering of all of the top women in science and education across Africa. Like, some of them are presidents and VCs, like in Ghana and across Africa. They are like in that organization, and they get to nominate I think 5 people every year for masters and PhD. And because of how super competitive it is, I think this year there were 19 Ghanaian girls who got shortlisted. It's super competitive, and you imagine, just alone from Ghana, there are 19 ladies, and they are in the nomination agency is going to just pick 5 people. So you can imagine how that's going to turn out, because there are people from West Africa, aside from Ghana, there are people from East Africa, people from South Africa, Southern Africa, and even Central Africa, who also gets to that short list. So you can imagine how super competitive it is. Then the last list, or agency, and sorry, for FAWE, it's only for women. That's the thing. It's only for women, so guys don't even qualify. Hali, as Timothy mentioned, so as I mentioned, it's also like for a close community for people who are nominated through a specific set of requirements and eligibility, which includes that you're an orphan. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much once again for joining. I don't see any more questions in the chat, which means everyone is good. Thank you so much for your time, and we are done. Efwa,
Yeah.
do you have like everybody's email address before I close the chat?
Yes, those who have shared theirs, I have that.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much,
It's
everyone,
just
for joining.
about
Okay.
6 people or so.
Okay, guys, you want to make sure you give her your email address to her so that she can email you the resources. Thank you so much for joining. We're going to wait for like 1 minute if you're typing your email address so that you can get the opportunity. Thank you, and have a good evening.